What makes a hero a hero? Or to put it in the context of this week's Torah reading, what makes Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher, our leader, our guide, what makes him Moshe? The answer, perhaps, is given in just a few pasukim into this week's Torah reading, where Moses is gathering all of his people together and telling them it is time. Go and collect the things that are most valuable to you, that you're going to need on this great long journey that we're about to embark upon, and that you will need when we settle into the promised land promised to us by God. And all the people busily gather things up, things that they think are necessary for them, that they cannot leave Egypt without. Moses, however, has a different thought in his mind. What he does is he remembers a promise that not he himself assumed, but one that he recalled. For it was many generations before that when Joseph ruled under Pharaoh over all of Egypt, after he died, he was interred in Egypt, but made his children promise that that would not become his final resting place, that they would bring him to the Holy Land, and there bring him towards his Maker. And by the way, there is a Jewish law that we never disinter a body once it is laid to rest in the ground. There is a single exception, where that body is to be disinterred, to be reinterred in the Holy Land of Israel. But back to our reading for this week, Moses remembers something not for his own sake, but for the sake of the generations. This gives a small insight as to why Moses truly was who he was and the great and powerful leader that he would become and remain throughout all of the epochs. Moses remembers the promise made to Joseph and forgets about all of the things that would be valuables to him and to his family once he settles in the land. He opts for a promise. He opts to fulfill the promise that was once upon made. And Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk, of who I am very fond of quoting, points out the differences between Moses and Joseph. Notably, one. He says, above all else, Joseph was a man of the flesh. He was a man who was concerned with people's livelihood and the life that he and others would lead. And Rabbi Menachem Mendel quotes the Bible when he says, Humash Bir. He was the person that gave out all of the allocations so that the Egyptians and the Jews could live during the time of famine. He was concerned with the body. Moses, Menachem Mendel notes, was concerned far differently with the soul. And despite the fact that they differed so grossly in their attitudes towards life and towards God, Moses gathered up the bones of Joseph. Sometimes the toleration that we feel extends only so far. Moses could have said, well, since he and I differed so greatly, let him stay in the land of plenty that he created. But instead, he allows for a grandiose, sweeping statement that we all belong under the same roof. We all belong under the same rock and tent because we are brethren, you and I. In the Talmud, in the Masechet, the tractate called Sota, the Talmud quotes Chizkiyahu Hezekiah, who makes the following observation. He writes, the tefillah, the prayer of a human being, is only heard when that person transforms their heart into flesh, away from stone. What makes Moses Moses is he has a heart of flesh, a heart that can be broken, like our hearts, easily broken, easily hurt, easily wounded. But the way of life is to feel life blood flowing through our veins. The story of Moses is a story of how to be most alive, how to take into account everybody, whether they agree with us or not, whether they stand for the same principles as us or not. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu is Rabbeinu, our leader, our teacher,